You urged me, Novatus, to write about the way in which anger can be softened, and I think you're right to be most frightened of this emotion, the ugliest and most savage of all emotions. The others have some measure of peace and quiet in them, but this one rages in turmoil and furious movement, with an eagerness hardly human for pain, weapons, blood, torture, until it harms others, while discarding its own good. It rushes to arms and greedily speaks and seeks a vengeance that only drag the avenger down with it. Some wise men have called anger brief madness. In equal degrees, it is unable to govern itself, forget of the decorum, ignorance of friendships, obstinate and intent on finish what begins, deaf to reason and advice, stirred up by empty provocations, unsuited to distinguish what is just and true. It resembles nothing so much as collapsing building that breaks up apart upon that which it crushes. But to understand that those in grips of anger are not sane, look at how they present themselves. For just as madness shows clear signs, a brash and threatening expression, an unhappy face, a wrinkled forehead, an agitated, nervous hand, changed skin color, rapid and heavily breathing, just so angry people display the same signs. Their eyes burned and flash, their whole face reddens with blood that boils up from the innermost organs. Their lips tremble, their teeth clench, their hair bristle and stands on the ends. Their breath becomes labored and gasping, cracking knuckles, twisting limbs, sigh, and groans, and speech broken off by intangible noise, hands smashed together, feet pounding the earth, body agitated all over and brandishing anger. Mighty threats, an aspect foul to look on and disgusting, and afflicted contort themselves and grow swollen. You'd be hard to put to say which is better for this fault, hateful or monstrous. Other things can be hidden away and nurtured in secret, but anger announces itself and comes out onto the face. The greater its degree, the more openly it sees. Don't you see how all animals, as soon as they have reared up to inflict harm, send forth signals ahead of the attack? How their entire bodies abandon their accustomed calm appearance and wet the edge of their wild wilderness. Boars foam at the mouth, sharpening their tusks by rubbing. Bulls toss their horns in the empty air, scattering sand with their hooves. Lions roar. Throttled snakes puff their necks, and the face of rabid dogs become a woeful sight. No animal is so fearsome, so noxious in nature that the onset of the new savagery does not show itself as soon as anger entered into them. Of course, I'm aware that other emotions are so hard to hide, and just lust and fear and bravery to give signs of their peace presence and can be perceived. Indeed, there is no intense arousal that enter us without altering our expressions in some way. Then what's the difference? This, while other feelings stand out, this one towers. But if you truly want to examine its effects, the damages it caused, I say no. No plague has done more harm to human mankind. You'll see slaughters, poisons, mutual mudslingings, and litigants, wreckage of cities, and extinctions of whole races lives and leading men sold at public auctions, torches touched to buildings, flames not contained within walls but held an enemy host gleaming over vast spans of territory. Look at the foundation stones of the noblest cities. Now look barely visible. Anger toppled them. Look at the wastelands that stretch empty for many miles without an inhabitant. Anger stripped them clean. Look at leaders preserved in the memories as examples of evil fate. Anger stabbed this one in his own bed. Struck that one amid the sacred rites of the table. Mangled another as courts and the crown formed, watched, ordered one to offer his blood to his son's parricide, another to bear royal neck to a slave hand, another to split his limbs apart on the cross. And these are the only tortures of individuals. What if looking past those whom angered and scorched one by one, you could glimpse assemblies hacked by the sword, mobs cut to pieces by soldiers sent against them, whole peoples condemned to die through the indiscriminate slaughter. There's a gap in the transmitted Latin text following the above sentence as we known from other sources in the missing text. Seneca defines anger as desire to punish a real or perceived wrong. The definition will be important in his later discussion of how anger can be prevented or moderated. But one might ask, even if anger is unnatural, shouldn't we adopt it because it's useful? After all, it lifts and gives spirits to the spirits, encourages, achieves no great military feat without it. That is, if it is fire, is not lit underneath us, and its goad does not provoke the bold and send them into perils. Thus, some men think it's valuable to moderate anger rather than to set aside, to force it to conform to healthy measures, and restrain its overflows, to hold on to that part without which actions grows weak, and the force energy of the mind is dissipated. First, however, it is easy to shut out harmful things than to govern them, easy to deny them entry than to moderate them. Once they have entered, once they have established residence, they become more powerful than their overseer and do not accept retrenchment or abate. That is why reason itself is to which the reins are entrusted. Stay potent only so long as it is kept apart from the passion. If it mingles and pollutes itself with them, it can no longer restrain that which it formerly could have rebuffed. Once shaken and overthrown, the mind becomes a slave to that which drives it. In some cases, though one set of things is in our control, that which follows drags us along by its momentum and allows us no step backwards. Just as in bodies, free falls have no power over themselves and cannot resist or slow their descent, but the unstoppable downrush cuts off every thought and regrets, and they cannot help arriving at a place where they once could have not arrived. So the mind, if it launches itself into anger or love or the other emotions, has no chance to check its impetus, its own gravity and sloping nature of the vices, naturally seizes it and pulls it down to the bottom. It is best to repel instantly the first prickings of anger, to stamp out its very seedlings, to take the pains, not to be drawn in it. For once it has knocked us off course, the returns to health and safety is difficult. No space is left for reason once passion has been ushered in and giving jurisdiction. From that point on, it will do what it wants. No foe must be fend off the farthest borders as it was. Once it has entered and made its way through your gates, it takes prisoners and grants no terms. The mind is no longer a thing set apart, watching the passions from the distance to stop them from going further than they should. The mind itself, now weakened and betrayed to enemy, is changed into a passion and cannot recover its helpful and helpful power. What then, someone says, does a good man do not get angry? Even if he watches his father gets killed or his mother raped, he won't get angry, but he will avenge them or he will protect them. Why are you afraid that duty alone without anger helps will be too little motivation for him? But say this in the same way. What's that? Then beholds his father or his son blank, cut to pieces. Won't the good man weep? Won't his mind desert him? The good man will carry out his duties without fear or turmoil. He'll act in a manner of a good man, such that he'll do nothing unworthy of a man. My father has been ill, I'll defend him. He's been murdered, I'll avenge him. But because it's right, not because I'm grieved. To get angry on behalf of one's kin is the mark of a weak mind, not a loyal one. It is this that is noble and worthy for a defender to act on behalf of parents, children, and friends, with his duty leading on willingly, jurisdictionally, and foresight, not driven and raging. All right, I'm just gonna add my 2 cents into this. I'll be completely honest. If anybody was to, murder someone's parents or somebody was to experience that, that person would get angry. So I kind of do disagree with this particular part of what Seneca is saying, because anybody who witnessed their mother getting raped or their father getting I can't say the word, but deleted, that person's gonna go in a full-blown outrage unless he has the utmost self-control to do something about it. But justice will be served if he can. I mean, especially on my position. Like, I wouldn't just let this happen. But let's continue into the video. There is no emotion eager for vengeance than anger, and for that very reason, none less suited to taking of vengeance over hasty and headless every greedy desire. It blocks itself on the way to where it is rushing. To someone doling out punishment, nothing is less suitable than anger. A penalty is more useful for correction when the judgment imposing it is more sound. Thus, it was Socrates that said to his slave, I will beat you if you weren't angry. He postponed punishment of the slave to a sander moment. At that time, he reported himself, so whose passions can ever be kept moderate, when Socrates did not dare to surrender to anger. And we must not even suppose that anger contributes in any way to greatness. That's not greatness. but mere swelling, just a dis-ease in the body distinct by an excess of unhealthy fluid. It's not growth, but noxious overflow. Everyone who, transported beyond mortal thinking by an insane mind, believes he's breathing in something elevated and sublime. But there's nothing firm underneath things that grow with foundations and likely to slide into ruin. Anger has nothing on which it can lean. It arises from nothing, steady or durable. What then? Don't words that seems to have to come from great minds issue forth from angry people? No, rather from those who don't know what true greatness is. Just like dread and hateful expressions, let them hate, so long they fear. Do you think that was spoken by great spirit? You're wrong. That was not greatness, but monstrosity.